Hi, Jen Maleka here, your functional diagnostic health coach and personal training expert with TravelFit, and I'm talking to you guys this week about why living in the 90-10 zone or abiding by the 90-10 rule is the new 80-20. And I know some of you might be kind of sitting there going, but that seems so much more restrictive than even living by the 80-20 rule. And I just want you to hear me out here for a few minutes, because this is something that I've been playing with and dabbling in for quite a while, and testing through my own experiences and with my clients, I'm just coming to this conclusion that 90-10 is the new 80-20. And there's a lot of reasons why. I lived in the 80-20 zone for a long time. It was the standard for me for years, eating super clean, being on top of my health A game 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time allowing myself to overindulge or splurge or cheat on the weekends. And I just found that after a while that wasn't really working for me anymore, because I still continued to struggle with my health and with my weight. I would get a little bit better, take 5 steps forward, and then take 2 steps back, and another 5 steps forward and 2 steps back. And this kept happening to me over and over and over again. And it's taken me a course of maybe 3 to 5 years to really figure this out and come to this conclusion, which I want to share with you guys. I mean, if you think about it, would you only wear your seatbelt 80% of the time and risk your life the other 20% of the time? Or would you only show up to work and give 80% all the time and leave 20% at home? Probably not. You wouldn't risk your job or your life in that kind of way. So why would you risk your health in that kind of way either? So just to give you guys some examples of what I experienced and what was kind of happening, is that what I find is when people try to live in the 80-20 zone, they actually don't really live by the 80-20 rule. They kind of get caught in the fog of where does healthy living begin and where does overindulging end. And that's because if we break it down, I always like to look at it this way. There are essentially 21 meals in a week. We can go by just food consumption alone, and 20% of that would be about 4.1 or so meals where you could then be cheating all the time. And if you think about it, that's a full day and almost a half of meals where you could just be like eating crap and crud or whatever it is that you want. Or you could also look at it as that's 4 dinners out of the week where you could be cheating or having things that you shouldn't be having, and that's the majority of your dinners that week, where that's where it's kind of this fudge factor or gray area of where does that healthy living begin and overindulging end. On the other side, if you are living in the 90-10 zone or abiding by the 90-10 rule, then that would equate to about 2.1 meals per week, which is your typical maybe Friday and Saturday night, like it is for me, to have a little bit of dairy or to have a few alcoholic beverages, a glass of wine, whatever it is that I want. And it's not this constant or consistent onslaught of toxins or bad things that are going into my body. So some of the things to consider, like some examples of this, is let's take gluten for example. So whenever you consume gluten, no matter how big or how small the bite is, it increases what's called intestinal permeability for up to 5 hours. So whether you had 1 bite of bread or a whole slice of bread, that's increased for 5 hours. And essentially what that means is you have these pores in your intestine that open up for a course of 5 hours, and that allows any toxins that you come encounter with for the next 5 hours to get straight into your bloodstream to maybe potentially cross what's called the blood-brain barrier, which can result in things like brain fog, or it can just increase inflammation and toxins in the body overall, contributing to things like allergies, ADD, autism, even Alzheimer's down the road. And those are some really big concerns to have. So if you think about it, going back to the 80-20 rule, if you're eating, let's say you save it all up for that one day where you're eating your 4.1 meals within a 24-hour period of time, now you've just increased your exposure to toxins for at least 20 unnecessary hours essentially over the course of one day or over the course of a week. Now, if we take alcohol as another example, for every one alcoholic beverage that you have, that increases hormones such as estrogen for up to 24 hours. And when you have one hormone that's out of balance or increased, it has this domino or cascade effect on the other hormones. So that's where it can also become more consistently destructive if you're actually living by the 80-20 rule, essentially. And this is where I was talking about earlier, like you're taking maybe 5 steps forward, but 2 steps back in relationship to your health. Like you're healing, but you're not healing fast enough, or you're not seeing as many results as you would like. And that tends to demotivate you and you give up altogether. I mean, I see people who come to me all the time and say, oh, I tried the paleo diet, or I tried Weight Watchers, or I tried the Whole30, and it worked for me for that 30 days. But as soon as I got off of it, all of my results or my weight or whatever it was came back, all of my health issues. And that's because realistically, you guys, we can't be doing things for just a short period of time. If you're really trying to make a shift in your health, it has to be a lifestyle change and one that you're going to stick to. Now, I'm not about deprivation. You guys have heard me talk about this before, and that is clearly not the point here. The point is that we need to take care of our health just like we take care of everything else in our life. And I'm sure, like I said, that you wouldn't show up half-ass 80% of the time in whatever it is that you're doing. So why do we do that to our health? So that's why I think the 90-10 rule is the new 80-20. And believe me, you guys, this still gives you plenty of room to relish and enjoy things that you really like. I mean, for example, I took 35 days of vacation last year. 35 days, that's kind of a lot in comparison to some people. Now that's a little less than 10% of the year that I was on vacation. And I will tell you that every day while I was on vacation, I was having a little bit of something that I wouldn't normally have, whether it was a glass of wine or some cheese, or maybe even a little bit of gluten or sugar in my diet. But because it's condensed to just those small periods of time and 90% of the rest of the year, I'm maintaining my health. It's not as detrimental. It doesn't take me those 2 steps backwards. And now the 90-10 is my new baseline for where I can really maintain my health and actually see continued improvements in it also. So I want you guys to start really thinking about this and think about how much it is you allow yourself to cheat, or how much are you crossing the line all the time, and maybe the 80-20 rule isn't working for you and the 90-10 would be. Now that's sometimes easier said than done. We all have life that happens, or roadblocks or pop-ups, and I totally get that. And that's part of the transformational coaching that I do with people. We not only talk about the science in relation to their health, but we also talk about how true transformation happens and how to shift some of your beliefs and your foundations in order to live the life that you truly want with your ideal health and weight. So if you guys are really ready to make some shifts and changes in your lifestyle for the good, then I want to invite you to schedule a free ideal health and weight discovery session with me. You can click on the link below. This is 45 minutes dedicated to talking with you to see what your challenges are, what's holding you back, and help you figure out what's the best way for you to move forward so that you can live your fullest life with the ideal health and weight that you want. So I hope that was insightful for you guys this week. I will talk to you next Thursday. Have a good rest of your week.